idiot. Dudes, what's going on? I have what may very well be my quickest video. I got asked a question the other day, and I thought it was pretty important. So let's address that. The question was, do I use a global EQ inside Helix? Or do I have something going on inside the global EQ with my Helix rack? My Helix rack, yes, I do. And I'm going to show you that right now. So, I have it open, global EQ. If you don't know how to do that, well, then this is far too advanced for you. Just kidding. You go to Window, Global EQ, brings up said global EQ. Now we are messing around with my latest tone from my latest tone video. It's a simple metal tone video. You could use this in the HX Stomp. Oh, beautiful. All right. So what do we got going on here? I'm not even going to act like I made this up. The settings that I have, I read out of an instruction manual. Yep. Fucking read them, dude. What instruction manual? So as you may or may not know, I like to use Ownhammer impulses. And because I'm a complete dweeb and a nerd and I have no life, I read the instruction manual for the impulse responses. Yeah, so if you'll notice, return back to the screen, they have this little section right here, sounding like guitar tube amps, sounding like guitar tube amp driven IRs. Not a spectacularly worded sentence. Sounding like guitar tube amp driven IRs. Okay. It's saying, forget it. Anyway, in this paragraph, it will tell you a bunch of crap, and then it gives you some settings to basically mimic what they were hearing as they were creating the impulse response. And I thought, well, maybe that's a good idea to put those settings into place because that's what they wanted it to sound like. So I'll read this. It says, to simulate the sound following the cabinet IR at an EQ with a parametric bell curve set to -3 dB at 400 Hz. Adjust the Q to roughly where the edges of the curve to make the initial cut around 100 Hz on the low side and 2K on the high side. All right, so it's saying -3 dB at 400 Hz. The curve starts at 100 and should end at 2K. It's pretty wide. But so that's what we did. It's exactly what I have going on right here. And I tweaked the Q so that it looked like it had started at 100 Hz and stopped at 2K. That's all I did. The next thing I did, and it didn't ask for that, but as a lot of you may or may not know, and a lot of you haters love to comment on how fizzy a lot of these amp simulators sound. Like, okay, that's fine. How is that constructive? There's like 100 amps in here. And if the downside is a little fizziness, I'll take it. You have your tube amps. You go make your music with your tube amps. That's fine. That's totally cool. Post the video of you making music with your tube amps and having it sound awesome, and I'll go to that channel and follow it and like it and all that good stuff. Until that point, don't comment on my fizziness. Okay? This sensitive moment brought to you by Global EQ. Okay, so what I have going on here, I have a high cut at 20K. That is basically turning it on. It's not really doing anything. This is off. Disregard that because I have this here. So we put this to 0. That's off. And then if I just turn it on, set it to 20,000, That's what it would do. It'd be a little steep. Now, the reason why I had this peak here, 2 dB, is to level it out. You see what that does? Bring this down to 0 again. I felt like it was cutting too much off. Let's hear what that sounds like, Nick. Now, the other thing, I hope you're listening on some sort of studio monitors or headphones to get the actual effect of what this is doing. It's not going to be doing a ton. You're not going to be able to tell on your iPhone speaker or the iPhone earbuds. You might not even be able to tell. This is just cutting off some of those high-end, harsh hissiness that everybody likes to bitch about. So, and I've always done this. So if I just turn the high cut on, it looked like too much, so I added this to flatten it out. So it's just taking off that high-end stuff. Now if I turn it off, you'll definitely hear this 400 hertz come in, and it sounds pretty woofy and a little wah 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 wah. Technical guitar term. Now that doesn't sound bad. It's just a little too much, especially if you're quad tracking, double tracking. It'll build up in a mix, and you get this real, low mid-range just woof happening, and it doesn't sound good to my ears. So when I read that and I tried it, I thought it definitely kind of added some sense of clarity. So if I play a little, especially when you're palm muting and crap like that. So if we add it back in, I feel like it gets clear. There's some sort of clarity that comes in. Now you don't have to do this, but I liked the results it yielded. So I've had this on the whole time, and that's something that I may or may not have brought up in a previous video. I feel like I might have, but I couldn't tell you which one. So this is what I'm doing. Global EQ, it's always on. As a matter of fact, when I've used different impulses, I'm pretty sure that I left this on also. So you can always add that 400 hertz back in at any point with an EQ block. But since I primarily use Ownhammer impulses, even when I think I really love another type of impulse, I keep going back to Ownhammer. I'm not paid by them. I don't get anything for free. I bought all the impulses. I just keep going back to them because they sound really, really good. So I keep this on all the time. And that's it. Global EQ. Yes, I use it. Maybe you should too. Also read your instructions. Sometimes it's helpful. And I know as dudes, we don't like to do that. But I'm telling you, here, amongst friends, it's okay. You can. I will not judge you. Tone explanation of this tone in the next video. See you then.